Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, hurrying on in a very full week, especially on the domestic side, but also internationally. In terms of Syria, President Assad made a very firm and self-assured speech. An iron hand will be used against the terrorists. These are the snipers, the killers, the Belhaj forces based in Iskandarun. Do take a look at that Press TV interview, or it's actually a Press TV debate, which is available on tarpley.net. That was January 6th. It's now posted. And essentially what Assad has done in his speech is to talk about methodologies for defeating a color revolution, how to defeat a cyber revolution. Now, the Turks are maximum hypocrisy from Erdogan. He says he's worried about the situation, the humanitarian crisis in Syria. Well, dear Erdogan, why do you allow your town of Iskandarun to be used as a NATO base by Belhaj, by his Libyan killers, 1,500 Libyan killers estimated, British, French Special Forces, CIA, U.S. Joint Special Operations Command, all in there, bringing in Israeli Uzi weapons and others. What is this? Erdogan, you want to cool it off, then stop using your base. And I say again to the observers, the Arab League observers, if you want to do a serious job, you must go to Iskandarun and interview and interrogate Belhaj and those Libyans and the British and the French and the CIA and the Joint Special Operations Command, because that's who's doing this. And make no mistake about it. So I refer you to that interview. The Free Syrian Army now promises 1 full year of civil war. They're obviously pessimistic. They're going nowhere. Assad is saying that the victory against the killers and the terrorists is in sight. I can't evaluate that estimate, but it's interesting, certainly, that he says it. The U.S. is still trying to strong-arm the Arab League observers. Feltman, the U.S. Assistant Secretary for Middle East Affairs, is still trying to blackmail and bludgeon and arm twist the observers into saying what he wants. And there's obviously resistance. We've got the prince from the gutter this week, the Qatar emir, or one of them anyway, coming to Washington. He's the foreign minister, cavorting with Hillary at the State Department. And he says, in his view, the observers are a failure. Look, even in your stupid terms, guys, the observers were supposed to observe. They're not supposed to end a fight. They're not a peacekeeping force. They're observers. So now what they do is they turn the argument to accuse observers of not bringing peace. This is absolutely absurd. And, of course, the idea is that the observers are not saying exactly what the Anglo-Americans want. Reports this morning on National Pentagon Radio that a Russian ship has arrived in Syria with more military supplies for the Assad government. Now, we also had the unfortunate death this week of a person, a French photojournalist, Gilles Jacquier. That's Jacquuier. I am told by reliable sources that this is a person who entertained deep relations with the French and Israeli intelligence services, that when he got to Syria, he went out on his own with a car, a driver, and a translator, and that he was not killed by a mortar shell, but rather inside a house under mysterious circumstances. Now, what would be necessary to establish the facts in the case of Gilles Jacquier would be an autopsy. The French government did everything it could and apparently successfully blocked an autopsy in Syria, but then got him away, and then they spread this line that he was killed in the street by a mortar or an RPG. So very, very suspicious, and of course a sad event. But the press people, of course, have been present in all of these destabilizations, and their role has generally been quite lamentable. All right, now let's switch back to the very hot domestic front here in the United States. A couple of little moments of progress. We heard reactionary again this week, my favorite word, the category we need to describe all of the Republican nominees, all of them, reactionaries. This time it was the radical chic Katrina vanden Heuvel from The Nation, right? The from the famous OSS CIA family, right? She's married to the professor of Russian studies, Stephen Cohen, the neo-Bukharinite from Princeton and NYU. Anyway, she got the merit this week, since we've seen evil doing good all over the place this week. She talks about reactionaries, and that's what they are. Now, last week I talked to you on this program. There is a hunger for economic populism. That was my leading headline. The hunger for economic populism that even expresses itself in the degraded confines of the Republican Party. And there it is. You see it this week. The attacks by Perry and Newt on Romney have put the question of Wall Street excess, rip-offs, leveraged buyouts, asset stripping, and golden parachutes right in the center of the attention. And indeed, the Republicans have outflanked Occupy Wall Street on the left, as Occupy Wall Street with their pathetic or non-existent demands, right? They had no demands. We used to have non-negotiable demands. These poor kids have no demands. So anyway, the attack on Romney, and of course that has its own story. Romney had been putting money into these super PACs in Iowa and in New Hampshire, attacking Newt on his sorry record. But Newt decides to fight back, and in doing so, another Leibnizian moment, evil doing good, a lesser evil attacking a greater evil to diminish the net amount of evil. This is, in many cases, all you can hope for. And here it is. Make the most of it. Perry, another example. Perry says that Romney is a vulture capitalist, and the vultures sit on the limb and they wait for a company to get sick, and then they come in and destroy it. Perry has put out a ringtone for cell phones with Romney's voice saying, "I like to fire people." Newt has done more. Newt has talked about exploitation. He's talked about the inequity of getting golden parachute bonuses and big money for Bain Capital, even as they shut down companies, fire workers, and drive them out of business. And he's put on this very interesting film, which you've got to see. Go on the internet and look at it. When Mitt Romney came to town. It's a story of how Bain Capital shut down, destroyed, and asset stripped a whole bunch of companies, many of them in South Carolina. So I would say this is a big breakthrough. This is the most ideological moment in U.S. politics that we have seen in a very long time. But now, here's the problem. Who's attacking Romney and who's defending him? Well, attacking him, we have the entire phalanx of Wall Street apologists, and it's a very, very unsavory lot. The people who are defending Romney, let's see, I even have a list of them here somewhere. The people, anyway, we've got Krauthammer. Here we go. The Wall Street Journal, Rush Limbaugh, the National Review. We've got Senator DeMint, otherwise known as Dement, right, because he's demented. We've got Krauthammer. We've got basically Giuliani, Trump. We've got a whole bunch of people saying, "How dare you call into question the attack, the essence of capitalism? That the essence of capitalism is an asset stripping, hedge fund hyena, leveraged buyout operation. That's the essence of capitalism in their mind." Well, no, that is a perversion of industrial capitalism. And unfortunately, joining that group is Ron Paul. Ron Paul in very bad company with that group of characters that I've just mentioned. Back in a minute.